In today's video, we are going to talk about 5 Nintendo GameCube exclusive games that I think need to be remade and what I think that remake should look like and play like and should include. What's up everybody, just a quick disclaimer, my main really good camera that I use for all of the YouTube videos to get that nice, crisp, beautiful video quality is unfortunately not working and I have to send it off for repairs, so I'm having to use my backup camera, and I want to let you know this because the video quality will not quite be up to the standards that most of my other videos have been for at least the foreseeable future until I get my main camera back. But that's enough about that, let's get back to the video. Chibi-Robo Plug-Into Adventure released on the GameCube on February 8th, 2006, and it is a sort of adventure exploration game combined with some 3D platforming elements of sorts. You're a small toy-sized robot in this large house, so from your perspective, everything is insanely huge. You are tasked with exploring the house and trying to make the family as happy as possible by performing a variety of tasks. The story and characters in the game are hilarious and quirky, and there are actually some pretty dark themes sprinkled in as well. If you want to learn much more about the game, then check out my episode of GameCube Gallery on Chibi-Robo, which I will leave a link to in the description down below. Chibi-Robo is an incredibly unique game, and it ended up being one of my favorite GameCube games, and I would love for it to be completely remade for the Nintendo Switch. The graphics were already quite good, but a complete overhaul in, say, the style of Luigi's Mansion 3 or even Super Mario Odyssey would really breathe fresh air into the graphics. The controls are definitely dated, so they could modernize the controls and take advantage of the extra buttons and streamline the inventory screen as well. I would love to see some extra content added in, like maybe some more outdoor areas to explore, or hell, maybe even the neighbor's house. Another thing I would love to see is the option for full voice acting for all the characters. In the game, they add in these meaningless, garbled noises in place of voices, sort of like how the Banjo games do it, but I would love to see full voice acting added as an option that you can toggle on and off. There are so many cool things that could be done to make an awesome remake of Chibi-Robo Plug-Into Adventure, but sadly, I just don't think it will ever happen because Nintendo seems to have abandoned the series. But hey, we can dream, right? Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem is a game I just recently did an episode of GameCube Gallery on, which I will leave a link to in the description down below if you want to learn a ton about the game. Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem was released on the GameCube on June 24th, 2002, and it is a mature survival horror game with a strong Lovecraftian vibe to it. It plays just like most survival horror games from that era, except in my opinion it controls better than most of them, and the camera is very unique in that it follows you around. You never control it, but it always gives you the perfect view of the action. Eternal Darkness is also unique in that you play as several different characters across many different time periods, and you can use magic spells in the game in addition to melee and ranged weapons, so there's a ton of variety to the gameplay. It also features the sanity system where when you encounter monsters your sanity decreases, and as it decreases your character starts to hallucinate in the game, and the game makes you as the player hallucinate as well in a very creative way. So the first thing I would of course want to see with a remake is a complete overhaul of the graphics, because while they did look good at the time, they have not aged well. I would love to see them at least match the graphical style and fidelity of a game like Resident Evil Revelations 2, but hell, if they can go all out and hit the level of the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, I will take that too. Also, just like with Chibi-Robo, the menu and inventory UI systems need a complete overhaul because they are slow and clunky. The controls could also use some tweaking as well, and maybe this is a game that would benefit from an over-the-shoulder perspective like the newer third-person Resident Evil games. I don't think they need to change any of the content or add any new content, but I wouldn't complain if they did add some new stuff. A complete modern remake of Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem could be an absolute masterpiece, and I think it would do very well if marketed properly. But sadly, just like with Chibi-Robo, this is an IP that Nintendo seems to have abandoned, but maybe one day it will resurface. Again, we can dream. F-Zero GX was released on the GameCube on August 25th, 2003, and it is a super fast-paced futuristic racing game, and also GX was the last console release we have seen in the F-Zero series. F-Zero GX is very fast, as you would expect from an F-Zero game, but this game is also incredibly difficult. Seriously, this is one of the most difficult and hardcore racing games I have ever played. It is incredibly technical, and if you want to get good at the game, you have to be able to pull off some very advanced maneuvers that require a lot of skill. But despite the extreme challenge, it is a very well made and highly polished racer and a blast to play, and it runs at a buttery smooth 60 frames per second. It features a very impressive story mode, which is not something you often see in a racing game, but beyond that you have the typical Grand Prix mode and the versus battle mode, and it features a large variety of tracks and characters to race as. Now what I would want to see out of a remake is actually very simple. Firstly, the graphics. The game already looks incredible, but I would love to see the graphics redone in a more modern way with slightly more realism. It would look absolutely badass. An example of this would be a game like Fast RMX, that style of graphics except with even more fidelity. Outside of that, the only things I would want are more tracks, more characters, and maybe a few additional modes. Now I will say, with this being a racing game, I do feel like there should at least be an easy mode for people that are not skilled enough to do all the technical stuff. This might be an unpopular opinion, but for this game to do well, it would need to reach a wider audience and appeal to more gamers. But sadly, and this seems to be the running theme in this video, Nintendo has seemingly abandoned F-Zero, and the only reason I could see is that they do not want it to compete with the sales of Mario Kart. But maybe one day the IP will resurface in a big way, and maybe, just maybe, it will be with an F-Zero GX remake. Geist is yet another game I did an episode of GameCube Gallery on, so if you want to learn more, check out the link in the description down below. Geist was released on the GameCube on August 15th, 2005, and it is a very unique, mature-rated first-person shooter from Nintendo. In Geist, the primary gameplay mechanic is that you are a ghost, and throughout the game you will be possessing various people and objects in order to navigate through the levels and achieve your goal. So there is a puzzle aspect at play here, because in order to possess people, you have to first scare them, and to scare them you have to possess objects and make them think the place is haunted. Beyond that, you can also possess animals at times, which is a lot of fun. Geist is endlessly creative with this one simple mechanic, and it is something I have never experienced in a game before. For the remake, the first thing we have to redo are the visuals, because they did not age well at all. I'm thinking something like Titanfall 2 levels of visuals here would work well to give the game a nice realistic look to add to the atmosphere. The next thing that really needs an overhaul are the first-person controls, in particular when shooting guns. It just feels very clunky and slow, so we need to modernize the controls and gunplay a bit more, as well as improve the AI for the enemies for an added challenge. Those two changes alone would make this remake absolutely incredible, but I want to propose an addition to the game that I think would be a lot of fun, and that would be a puzzle mode. Let me explain further. One of the most interesting things about Geist are the puzzles trying to figure out how to scare someone to possess them. So I would like an entire mode full of mini levels where you have a person, and the goal of each level is to simply figure out how to possess that person. This would be such a cool extra game mode to add, and it would give it some more content outside of the campaign and multiplayer. Speaking of the multiplayer, let's go ahead and add some more modes, more options, and make it online and with local co-op as well. Damn, that would be a blast. But again, Geist is yet another IP that Nintendo seems to have completely forgotten about, and that is a damn shame, because I think in today's gaming landscape it would do very well. Luigi's Mansion was released on the GameCube on November 18th, 2001, and a remastered version with new features released on the Nintendo 3DS on October 12th, 2018. Luigi's Mansion holds a very special place in my heart because it was the first GameCube game I ever played. I got Luigi's Mansion at a GameCube Christmas 2001, and it absolutely blew me away with the graphics. Now, most of you know what Luigi's Mansion is, but for those of you who don't, essentially it's what happens when you combine Mario with Ghostbusters. Luigi is invited to a mansion mansion to meet Mario, and when he gets there, Mario is missing, and Luigi gets launched into a ghost hunting adventure with Professor Egad. Gameplay revolves around you exploring the mansion, capturing ghosts, and solving many puzzles, and it is so much freaking fun. A Luigi's Mansion remake would be simple. Just give it the same graphical style as Luigi's Mansion 3 and some of the same control features, and boom, you're in business. I can't really think of anything else to add or change because everything else in Luigi's Mansion is damn near perfect in my opinion, but hey, if Nintendo wants to throw in some extra content, I certainly will not complain. I really feel like Nintendo should have remade Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo Switch instead of releasing that remaster on the 3DS, because I feel like nobody bought and played that because the Switch was out and at the time it was on fire. I don't see a Luigi's Mansion remake happening anytime soon, if ever, because I suspect with the success of Luigi's Mansion 3 that Nintendo will be working on a sequel, but hey, it's fun to think about. Well, there you have it, folks. 5 GameCube exclusive games that I think should be remade. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure and hit that like button. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see any of these games remade and what you would like to see out of a remake. Also, let me know in the comments down below if there are any other GameCube games you think I should cover that should be remade. I am going to turn this into a video series if this video does well, so be sure and hit the like button and share it so that we can keep this series rolling because I'm already enjoying it one video in. Folks, as always, stay safe out there, keep playing games and having a good time, and I will catch you all in the next video. Later. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. You're freaking awesome. And if you enjoyed it, hit that like button, share it with your friends and family. Check out all the social media links in the description down below. And if you want to see more Retro Wolf 88 videos, here's a couple more for you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go play some more video games. Later.